funny that it's Essendon player testing positive or something, isn't it?
Pull your finger out of your ass.
Jeez.
This is my first ever football jumper. My three votes, I should say. My three goats. My three votes for Charlie. Oh, top of the world, mate.
What a time to be alive.
I look a bit like Nickel Bellic from GTA 4, I feel, with this.
That could get dangerous. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 84 of the Pressure Point podcast, our part 2 of our Movember special. And this week we've reversed roles, and Big Quinn's in the hot seat, and I'm asking the questions, so it's a bit different. But Quinn, welcome, mate. How you feeling?
Good, mate. Good. It's a little bit nervous. Don't know what's going to come out or how I'm going to feel about doing this, but I'm excited. I think it'll be a good thing for me. So pretty keen to get cracking with it all.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, first off the bat, I just want to thank everyone for all the love and support after last week. The feedback was overwhelming, to be honest. It was incredible, and just made us so happy and so appreciative that we were able to do this, and it was great. And just people reaching out saying that it helped them, and it's helped them open up and wanting to do something about it. So, it means a lot to hear things like that. So thank you to everyone for all the feedback last week.
I also wanted to shout out a couple of mentions.
Yep.
I wanted to shout out to Daryl Lindsay, Lisa Hall, and Bruce Harkins, who thought it was appropriate to anger react a men's mental health post on Facebook. And Lisa even went to the trouble of posting a gif of a poo and saying, here is a poo for you for this unwanted spam. So thanks to that, Lisa Hall. I hope you're listening to this episode, and we'll be sure to spam you next time as well.
That's all right. No, that's all right. We'll see you when this episode gets aired, I'm sure.
That's it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
She'll be in the comments.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
We love the appreciation. So.
That's all right. Well, we don't worry about those kinds of people. We worry about the people that we love and the people that love us. So, and you're one of them, mate. So
stop it, you.
So, so I guess we'll get straight into it. We'll do a pretty similar setup to what we did last episode, where we'll start with the hero highlight and then get into the hardship. So we'll start off as Quinn drinks his what is that? Bubble tea?
Cold brew from Starbucks.
Okay.
Yeah.
This whole time I thought it was a bubble tea. Yeah.
I know. No, not a big tea man.
Okay.
So I just thought I needed a bit of coffee. I've had a big day at work.
Yeah.
Helps ease the nerves a little bit as well. I'm a big coffee man, so yeah.
Well, did you want to? We were talking about putting Harry Potter on. Is that going to help as well? Ease your nerves?
It could. It may. I know you've got Spider-Man on the PS5 there, so that if you chuck that on, that actually might help a little bit. Although I might not answer too many questions. Yeah. I reckon we'll just roll with it.
Let's get into it. All right. Well, so we'll start with the Triple H as we did last week. So we'll start with your hero.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this one for a couple of weeks now since we thought of this, and I've got a few, and I'm going to do what you did last week and list a couple of honourable mentions. I'll start with, and it's a bit unusual because she's younger than me, but I'll start with my sister Ruby. I thought about this one for a little while, and it was probably unexpected for me as well, but just her work ethic is probably a bit over the top and a bit too much, but I just, the way she goes about things and the way she's always done it is just, it's inspiring. And she's probably, I don't know if she wants me talking about this or not, but she's had her own mental demons herself that she's battling through, and you wouldn't know, like, the way she presents herself and carries herself through it and just sort of tries to make everybody else happy despite what she's going through. And like I said, in the way she works, I just, can't speak highly enough of her. Sorry, Abby, you haven't done anything impressive yet, so that's just for Ruby. But then I guess, the other ones up there are definitely, like you said last week, your mum and dad. Hard to go past mum as well. Like, everything she's done for me, I wouldn't be the person I am without my mum in my life. And obviously always puts me first before everybody else. So I really appreciate that, and, love her very much. Despite, we used to fight a fair bit back in the day, but it's all behind us now. And then look, it's obviously hard to pick the two apart, but I think just in terms of who I aspire to be, and who I want to be in the future, I'd have to go with Matthew Richardson. I had to. I'm sorry. No.
How did I know he'd get a name drop in this?
I had to. No. In all seriousness, and it's being serious now. In terms of person I'll actually look up to and, I aspire to be when I'm older, especially as a dad and as just a human, is my old man. It's hard to pick him and mum apart, but I think just, being a bloke, same as me, it's probably a bit easier to relate to dad in that sense. And just, the way he is as a dad, he's honestly, the things that he does honestly shocks me sometimes I just don't know how to I can't go and explain it any better, I guess.
Yeah.
So I guess my old man's probably, if I had to pick one, it'd be my old man.
Yeah, no, I love that. I know your old man, and he's a great fella, and he's a funny guy as well. He's great to be around. He's always making us laugh, which is great.
He tries to, that's for sure. I think he's passed that gene on as well. So if you hear me crack a couple of gags tonight.
Funny story about your dad. I don't think I've told you this. I think probably the first few months of me knowing him, I thought his name was Paul.
He looks like a Paul.
I feel for some reason he introduced himself to me as Paul, and then I'm pretty sure I've called him Paul during that time, and then someone said Joe, and I was like, okay, it's Joe. Yeah.
There you go. What's Joe? Well, technically it's Giuseppe, being the Italian man that he is, but Joe for
we'll go with
English
Joe.
Translation. We'll go with Joe.
But definitely not Paul.
Call him Paul. Yeah. Why not? Thanks, Paul.
All right, done. We'll call
Paul's
him Paul.
my idol.
All right, we'll move on to your highlight then.
Yeah, so this is you've real stitched me up here. And I mentioned this to you before recording. You've stitched me up, but I've gone a bit of a different way. And for those that don't understand, the reason why I said Marcus has stitched me up is Marcus's highlight was, his lovely girlfriend, Kristen. And I said to him, well, now if I don't say my girlfriend, I look like a piece of shit. But if I do say my girlfriend, it looks like I'm just copying Marcus. So I've gone a bit of a different route here. And my highlight, I think, has come from a bit of a hardship, which I won't mention next. But for those that know, there's a bit of a funny story. Well, it wasn't funny at the time, but Elisa, my girlfriend, we had a trip booked, and it was our first holiday together. We'd only been dating probably a handful of months, and we're going to the Philippines. And about 2 days before we flew, I did realize that my passport was nowhere to be found. After plenty of prompting from Elisa to look for it, and a few other people as well mentioned, Quinn, go look for this passport. And I thought I knew where it was. And anyway, long story short, we missed about 3 days of our trip, and I ended up dropping about $1,500 to get new flights, new passport quickly, whatever it was. So a lot of money. And I remember being so nervous because I thought it was a fresh relationship. I thought, geez, this has to be a deal breaker, doesn't it? Like I've ruined a trip. And we weren't, obviously we're close, but we weren't, what we are now 4 years in. So I was extremely worried. And then the trip went ahead, went fine. Went really well, sorry, not fine. It went really well. It was a great trip. And all the rest of it. And then I guess the highlight then getting to that would be a year or two later, we did a bit of a road trip, went to Sydney, went to a couple of festivals, drove up to Brisbane, all the rest of it. And I just remember being at this particular festival in Brisbane, and it was just us two. And I remember thinking, what a turnaround this is from me forgetting my passport and being so nervous that this could be the end of it and potentially ruining arguably the greatest thing that's ever happened to me in that one moment. And then just remember being so happy, and it was just so pure at that festival. And I thought this is just it, and this was probably 2 years ago now, whatever it is. And obviously it's grown since then. But I think that moment in particular, I remember thinking to myself, thank God I didn't blow it. I really had the chance to blow it then, and I didn't. So, I think that would be a highlight for me. Yeah. Just behind the 3 Richmond premierships. Yeah.
Okay. There it is. So there's 2 Richmond drops already in this.
There's more to come.
No, I love that. And if you did blow it, then we wouldn't be doing this, would we?
No, exactly right. So I think everything's meant to be.
Yeah, exactly.
And that also just speaks for, I don't know if resilience is the right word, or patience is probably the better one, but the patience of Elisa to, stick by me after blowing it like that. And it's not the only thing I've done. There's been a few things where I wouldn't have blamed her for just, packing up shop. So, but yeah, that was probably the big one.
Beautiful. Love that. Love that a lot. All right. So here on Highlighted done. Let's move on to the hardship. And this is where, the bulk of the episode and the story is. So if you're ready, we'll jump into the hardship.
Yeah.
Or hardships, or whatever you want to
go down. It's probably more hardships. But I'll get started with it. I think probably I've been pretty lucky. I've had a relatively cruisy life where I haven't really had anything to dwell on. I've lost all my grandparents now, and that was obviously pretty tough, but sound bad saying it, but it wasn't like a massive hardship, I think. Obviously it was tough for the first few weeks or whatever like that, and then you mourn as you do, but that probably wasn't it. I think the biggest one for me was my parents getting divorced. And I remember as a kid seeing a lot of my friends with divorced parents, and I've always like, oh, you know, we're gonna be that family that, you know, I'm never gonna be the family that, you know, has divorced parents and all that. And not that there's anything wrong with it. It was just I didn't see that happening for my parents. And then when it happened, I was pretty naive to it all as well, because there was a bit of a build up to it. I won't obviously go into details, but there was a bit of a build up to it all happening, and I was just sort of blissfully unaware. And then I remember coming home from a holiday. I was gone for about a couple of months and came home, and, you know, Dad was not living there anymore. He was moved out down the road, and I was a bit confused, like, why is this happening? And I was just really unsure. And I was old enough, like I was like 19, 20, so it wasn't like I was a kid. It was, but it still really shook me. And I sort of played it off a little bit. I know my sisters took it really hard. And I just sort of tried to be the brave face all the time. And I think for a bit, I convinced myself that it didn't really bother me. But then deep down it did. So that was a bit difficult, and especially, you know, having to go visit my dad, which was something I just came home and did, you know what I mean? It was never anything separate. So that was tough. And then not long after that, I found out that my mum had a brain tumor, which apparently wasn't cancerous, or isn't cancerous, because it's still there, but it's in a spot that can't be operated on. So if it were to become cancerous, you know, I guess, yeah, speaks for itself. Yeah. And I think I was just really scared, because I didn't know what was happening. I know what my mum's like as well, that I feel like if it was worse, she wouldn't say anything so we wouldn't worry. So I guess, yeah, the divorce, then finding out this on top, it was just all it was a bit much. Like I just didn't really, and like I said, I just internalized it and didn't really say much, as, you know, blokes tend to do, unfortunately. And then it was probably one night, and this is probably, apart from right now, this is the only other time I've ever opened up. It was one night on the way home, and a mate was driving me home. And I remember just probably a few drinks deep as well. And I remember just absolutely bawling my eyes out, like the whole 35-minute drive home, whatever it was. Cause, you know, I was just scared. I was upset that my parents weren't together anymore. And I think like the family life wasn't the same. Like, you know, we used to be like, you'd have dinner every night together as a family. You know, you wanted to do something, you did it. It was just, everything became hard. Christmas became hard. Everything started becoming more difficult. And it probably sounds petty, you know, because there's a lot of people that have been in my situation a lot longer. But I think just being so used to what I was used to, it was a bit of a shock to the system. So yeah, I guess that was probably...
So this has all happened in like the space of like 5 years.
Yeah.
Least,
so I think parents split up probably back in 2016. But like I said, the build up had been for a lot longer than that. I was just too naive to realize it. So I think it was 2016, it all sort of happened. And then, yeah, I found out my mum had the tumor, and all the rest of it. And then, yeah, so that was obviously a pretty tough period. I had a few good things happen there as well, which I think masked it. Obviously, I met your sister. Sounds corny, and Richmond won a premiership, which, you know, you can understand as a football sport. That was a pretty big thing for me. So it sort of masked it for me a little bit, which was good. But yeah, I think that was probably the biggest one for me. And then I guess something like, it's not really a hardship, it's probably just something more I battle with internally. And that sort of even stems back to the last story about losing my passport and all that. And we make jokes about it all the time. And it's like, oh, that's such a classic Quinn thing to do. Like, of course you did that, you know, or something like that. Like the other night, I was telling you, the other night I got home and was eating some snacks on the kitchen bench, and then later found out that the chocolate I just bit into was a dog treat. And like, everyone's like, oh, of course you did that, right? And it's like, that's funny. I'll give people, like, that's very funny. But there are times where I think, like, why do I have to be that guy that, like, that's such a you thing to do? And I feel like I'm just a bit like, I feel like just like a bit of a disappointment sometimes when I do stuff like that. It's like, oh, did you forget to do this? I'm like, yeah, I did. I'm like, oh, classic. Like, people just expect that sort of stuff from me now. And it's funny at times, like with the dog treat story, but sometimes it weighs down a little bit, and you're like, oh, geez, like, you know, did people just, is that just what I am now? And then probably then goes back to even just not knowing where I want to go with myself at the moment, like work-wise, career-wise. Like I'm just sort of in limbo at the moment. I'm like, I feel like, geez, I'm 25, kind of had an idea of where I want to go, but now I'm even doubting that. Where to from here? And then it's, can I go anywhere that I really want to go? Am I ever going to be successful because I'm me? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've never really been good at one particular, like some people excel at one thing and then they're just okay at everything else. I feel like I'm just mediocre at everything. Like I don't excel at anything in particular. And that's always sort of been something that I've like been not self-conscious about, but it sort of weighs down on me a little bit. I'm like, oh geez, like I'm not really good at anything, am I? And it's, so that's always been a little bit tough as well. And then even stems like not being good sometimes, like as a family member, I feel like I'm like a bit of a letdown sometimes, like my sisters and mum and dad. Like I just prefer to be by myself a lot of the time now. And like I feel like they need me to be more present and I'm not, especially, my sister Ruby, like I mentioned before, I don't really understand what she's going through and I feel like I can be distant sometimes. And I don't mean to be, it's just, I just find it that way. And like, you know what I'm like as well. I sometimes make jokes when I shouldn't just because I get awkward and the only thing I know how to do is try and be funny, try and turn the situation around. So yeah, that's probably the biggest ones.
Yeah. Shit. No, mate, it's so good for you to sort of open up and explain that because you're absolutely not alone. I feel like majority of people have the exact same thoughts about that sort of stuff and the insecurities about how people think of them. Like I think I mentioned that last week. Like it's you I mean, I'm not going to say you shouldn't, but like you shouldn't feel like that's you're letting yourself down or letting other people down because that's you. You sort of just got to embrace yourself. And it's something you learn to do. But I think the first step is putting it out there and acknowledging it, and for other people to hear as well. Because I'm 100% sure I can speak for everyone in the room is that we all love you and we think you're great. So you're definitely doing great things, and you're not a letdown to us. And if I'm going to pick one thing that you're good at, and you're good at bloody doing a podcast, so you're good at being a co-host and making great videos and audio and on all your graphics as well. So, you're great, mate. But that's fine, and it's completely okay to open up to that sort of stuff as well. So I'm glad you did.
No, it feels good to say it. It's one of those things you don't really express much, obviously. And don't get me wrong, if I could do this podcast as a full-time living, I absolutely would. Like that would be the dream.
We will.
It will be it is the dream. So, I'd absolutely love to do that. But yeah, it's always going to be those thoughts that run through your head, especially when you don't really know where you're at and you see people around you, sort of in a position that you'd want to be in. Like not to make you feel uncomfortable, but like we're sitting here in your place right now. You've got yourself a new job. I'm thinking, geez, like I wish I was doing something like that instead of, I'm back working for my family business now, which like nothing wrong with the business. It's just I know it's not where I want to be.
Yeah, but like no, that's great. But I think the trap is comparing yourself to other people. Because 100%. when I was your age, I was having the exact same thoughts. Like I couldn't find a job. Had no money. I was living had to live with mum and dad. Not a lot of good things were going on in my life. So it's just how hard you want to work and you just keep chipping away at it. So and it's completely fine to feel like that. So it's you're doing fine, mate. There's no rush with anything. So keep chipping away at what you're doing. So
yeah, we're trying to. Working on it slowly. So
good.
I know it's going to be a process, but I've accepted that now, which I think is good. It's made it a lot easier. Just sort of thinking, I'm in a good position. I'm still working full time. I'm making money. I know a lot of people aren't in that situation, so I'm not worried in that sense. I'm pretty content, and I've got a good family that'll support me if if I do struggle, which I haven't yet, touch wood. But it's been one of those things. I guess I've sort of accepted now that I will eventually get to where I want to go. I've just got to figure out where that is.
Yeah.
Which was probably one of the bigger problems weighing me down. I was like, I don't know what I want to do. Everyone else seems to know where they're going, what they want.
Yeah.
And I have no idea. And then I'd start to feel immature. It's like, am I ready to be an adult? Like I want all these things. I want a house. I want to move out with Elise. I want to, get a dog together. Like all those things that, I want to do is in terms of growing up. And then it's like, well, I don't even know what I want to do, how I'm going to get these things. Like I know what I want in terms of like, physically and all that, but I don't know how to get it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I completely understand, mate. Have you what have you done when these sort of situations and thoughts come up? Like how have you been masking it? Do you just push it away and go out, get on the drink, and is that how when you're in that moment of like a negative spiral, what usually goes on?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because, I think subconsciously a lot of the time I bury it without deliberately burying it, if that makes sense. Like it'll be there in the background, but that's where it'll stay. And then once in a blue moon, it'll come forward. And usually then it's when I'm by myself, and I'll just do something that sort of cheers me up, makes me happy. I'll chuck the PlayStation on, whatever it is, something like that. I'll call Lisa, just have a chat. I won't say anything's wrong, but I'll just sort of, have a chat, just sort of perks me up a little bit. And I'll just do things like that. Yeah. I did go through a period as well, which I probably should have mentioned in hardships where, and actually this was probably a big one. I can't believe I skipped over this, but there was a period of time where I was just losing my temper constantly. And for those that know me pretty well, I'm usually a pretty chirpy guy, like real happy. And then I was just got this phase. I was getting really angry all the time. And the only people I would take it out on were those closest to me. And there was an incident like one night where I got really upset with Alyssa, and, I thought, and we had a big argument, and I just thought, I got home that night and I thought, what have I done? Like, if I keep this up, this could genuinely be the end. Like, even more so than when I lost my passport, I thought this could be it. I've really got to do something about it. And I started seeing a psychiatrist, which helped a lot. I know you mentioned in the all episode that you went and saw a couple as well. And yeah, I saw one and he helped a lot. And I think since then, I still find moments where I'm getting really angry and I can feel myself starting to boil over. But I now know when I'm in those situations to just distance myself. So sometimes we'll be at the kitchen table, for example, and it could be the smallest thing. And I can just feel myself starting to get frustrated and annoyed. And instead of sitting there and just trying to like brush it aside and let it get worse, I'll just get up and I'll just go to my room and, play PlayStation, something that'll just keep my mind off it. Yep. And it might only be for 15 minutes.
Yep.
And I've calmed right down. I'll go back and it's fine.
Is that something the psychologist sort of told you to do?
Yeah, he said to recognize when I'm feeling this way and to try and distance myself. The way he put it was, is basically picture yourself as a tap or a tank of water. And when you get angry, the tank's filling. And when it's to the brim, you're going to boil over and you're going to lose your temper and you're going to go off at people that you don't want to. And he goes, when you feel yourself getting to that point, release the tap. Release the tap inside of the tank and you'll calm down. So for me, that's just distancing myself, which, look, it doesn't often happen. If like I'm on a night out, it doesn't usually happen to the point where like I'll have to just leave like a big group of friends or something like that. It normally happens in close situations, like not like this, but if we were having dinner with the family, whatever, I might just get up, go to my room, and I don't feel like I'm being rude because it's my immediate family. And now they're all aware of the reason why I've probably walked out, and they all respect that, which is fantastic. So that's been a really big help for me, is just recognizing when I'm in a situation that I could react in a way I really don't want to react. Because, yeah, like I said, it's sometimes people will do wrong by me, and I won't get angry at them, but I'll let it boil up, and then I'll end up just taking it out on, someone really close to me, someone I love, and it's not their fault, and I shouldn't be doing that, but it's just, I guess they're the people I'm most comfortable with, so that just ends up, they just happen to, be there at the wrong time sort of thing, and I don't want to be that guy. Like, I don't want to be that one that just cracks it all the time, gets angry, and like I said, that big argument with Elisa was, I went home that night and I thought, I've got to start seeing help. Like, no one told me to do it. I just thought I have to do something because I could ruin this relationship and I don't know where I'll be if that happens. And I'm like, geez, if things have been difficult with the divorce, finding out my mum wasn't well, the things my sister's going through and all that, if I lost my relationship as well, I don't know where to from there.
Yeah.
So I got help, and it helped a lot. And to be honest with you, I probably could use some more, and not in the sense that I'm struggling a lot at the moment, but just to keep on top of mental well-being and whatnot. Yeah. I'm doing pretty well at the moment, which is good. But yeah, I think it's always just a good idea to keep on top of things and keep yourself in check, which would be really good.
Yeah, no, for sure. And yeah, I think we spoke about that last week, is just people see psychologists even if they've got nothing going on. It's sort of just good just to check in as well, and just talk about what's going on in that day or like a moment that's happening in your day. So I think it would be a great idea to just check in, just revisit what you've been going through. So so I think that's great, and I think it's great that you sort of admitted to it and accepted it and seeked your own help instead of someone going to do it for you. So it's a real credit. So no, well done.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. It's been huge. And I remember in high school, I never forget, Mum and I got into an argument and she told me something like, I'm not letting you play football this year. I'm pretty sure that was what it was. And I just cracked the shits and I'm like, nah, like I'm done. Fuck you. And anyway, Mum thought that I was going through depression. I just wasn't talking to her because I was pissed off with her because she said I couldn't play footy, right?
Yeah.
So she rang the school and said, oh, can I have Quinn see the school psychiatrist? So they booked me in and I started seeing the school psychiatrist, but I was mentally fine. I was just angry with Mum for like a week. So it wasn't even like it was a long period. But I found that going in, I think it was every week or every second week to the school psychiatrist, even whilst nothing was going on, it was just good to have someone to chat to and get things off your mind. And then you ended up speaking about things that you didn't realize may have actually been bothering you anyway. And it ended up being really helpful. And then obviously once school finished, I didn't do that anymore. But just thinking back to that now, I was thinking, why not? Like it was great back then. Obviously a little bit different because the school psychiatrist was free.
Yeah.
But it was so helpful back then that why wouldn't it be helpful now that I'm still, like I'm not going through anything at the moment, thankfully, touch wood, but it'd be helpful. Yeah. And I found another thing I've been doing, which has been really good. Only recently, through listening to various podcasts and trying to seek advice and this sort of stuff, is every morning I'm writing down, whether it be in a book or just a loose piece of paper, and I carry it around with me in my pocket all day, just 3 things I'm grateful for the day. And that way, like especially being back at work now and things like, I get angry at work a lot as well because I'm just like, oh, this bullshit, I shouldn't be doing this. I'll just have a quick look at it and I'll be like, okay, it's not really that bad. Like I've got this, and this just for and I'm like, and that's just for today. Let alone tomorrow, yesterday, all the rest of it. So that's been a big help for me as well, which I think, obviously I'm not a psychiatrist myself, but I think it could help a lot of people. Just doing something simple like that doesn't take much to wake up and think, what am I grateful for today? And being the bit of a nerd that I am, yesterday, or was it today or yesterday, I wrote down the new Spider-Man trailer was released, right? Which is, it's comical. But I was grateful for it. Yeah. And, seeing it made me happy because like I'm into all that sort of stuff and it made me happy. So I was like,
there's no rules to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever makes you happy.
It can be something as simple as, like I was going to say, like, I use a fresh roll of toilet paper today.
Yeah, exactly right.
If that floats your boat, you know what I mean? But that's...
You were able to get yourself a bubble tea at Southland, That's something...
Cold brew coffee. But no, exactly. Like, tomorrow could be like Starbucks. I'm grateful for Starbucks.
Exactly.
I reckon I've been to Starbucks once in 7 years, but...
You're still grateful for it.
Exactly right. So, because it got me through the rest of today. So, it's little things. And I think it's been pretty helpful to me as well. And then another big thing, I know you can relate to this as well, but just keeping physically fit as well. I've been doing a lot more running. Now the gyms are back open. I'm going to the gym as much as I can. And just like, it's corny, but you release endorphins and you just feel better after you do a workout. Obviously it's not for everybody, but I find it helps a lot for me as well. And like whenever I've been to the gym, or even if I'm in a bad mood and I go to the gym, I usually come out feeling a lot better. So yeah, that's been a big one for me.
Yeah, no, that's huge, mate. It's huge. Well, shit, I don't know what else to say, to be honest. That was amazing, unbelievable, and I think everyone's going to be so bloody proud and happy to hear this episode as well. I'm sure I can speak on behalf of both of us that this is something we've never really done before, and I feel like a lot of our mates have never done this before, and for them to hear our sides and personal stuff like this could really open the door for a lot of other not just blokes but just people in general to open up and accept all their vulnerabilities and speak to about it with the people. So it's been great, mate, and I hope you've enjoyed these 2 episodes as well.
I really have. It's been good. It's I was sweating a little bit then. I was just getting nervous speaking it all, and I got the lights on me. It's but no, it feels good getting off my chest, and no doubt I'll be on the way home now and I'll think about things that I wanted to say or thought I should have said that. But no, it's been good just to talk about what I have spoken about. And obviously last week you went and it was fantastic. And yeah, like you said, if we can help, if this helps one other person, I think we've done our job.
Yeah,
so
absolutely,
it's been a massive couple of weeks for us in that sense. And I really hope Lisa Hall enjoys the next episode.
Oh, geez, she's had way too much of a mention in this.
Yeah, I'm giving it too much airtime. Yeah.
No, but unless you want to add anything else, I think that's pretty much it, mate. That was fantastic, and If you haven't already, make sure you donate to our Movember page. We've only got a week or so to go, and all the funds matter for such a great cause. As we're doing it a bit different this year with this, instead of growing the mows and all that sort of stuff. So all your help really helps. But yeah, mate, again, thanks again, and that was incredible, and I'm looking forward to listening back to it.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.